G'day, good evening and welcome to the program. I'm Gary Hardgrave, and a week ago, right now, we were breaking the news of the sad passing of His Royal Highness the Prince Philip. And over the past week, we've been rightly reflecting on the man, his lifelong service to others. I think also his dignity, his humanity, his inclusive approach to people. And of course, that humour made many of us feel very much so at ease. I met him when I was just 17, and let me tell you, I've never forgotten the day. It's a story I've told time and time again. Prince Philip represented an amazing generation which stood for things, and they were prepared to defend those things as well. He was mentioned in dispatches during the Second World War. He was a war hero like many others. Prince Philip brought people together, people from diverse backgrounds. And we all, I believe, should be very pleased to be able to reflect upon the fact we lived during his time. And Sky, of course, tomorrow night will present the funeral of His Royal Highness the Prince Philip live here on this network. So make sure you stay tuned. Well, this week, the Prime Minister has actually discovered what so many of us have recognised for some time. The free liberal democracies like ours are under attack from totalitarian, authoritarian states. That's what the Prime Minister has said. Well, I keep saying that our society is being manipulated, in fact, being destroyed by various factors, and we are governed with no apparent proactive plan. We just seem to have governments reacting to division and diversion. It's almost on a weekly basis something new is thrown up to throw us off. Well, there is no course. That's the problem. Now, societies are formed on what we have in common, and every week there's been those who seem to want to emphasise differences, in other words, to create problems, to pull us apart. There are those who want to, of course, be offended on behalf of others, but our weak and woke leaders are really failing us. They're falling for the distraction du jour. And many supporters of the Prime Minister in 2019, that election he wasn't meant to win, are actually angry because some are saying to me that he's acting too much like a placeholder of the Turnbull-Rudd years. He's now not living up to what they thought he'd be. So to this end, to paraphrase a pope, the political cafeteria must close. Our leaders can no longer just pick and choose spontaneous pet issues or cater for people who actually hate us and hate our way of life and hope that by feeding them, paying attention to them, it'll quiet them all down. We really desperately need leaders who are willing to focus on the values and the long-term vision which brings us all together. Now, this national cabinet thing that Scott Morrison started a little over a year ago really doesn't act in the national interest. It's a process-driven forum for political grandstanding by provincial premiers. So if we really, truly want to survive as a nation, these relentless attacks on our way of life, we need to also survive those who are trying to destroy us from within. Australians don't need codified rules. They don't need qualifications designed by lawyers and bureaucrats to interact with each other. We don't need a list of rights given to us by the unelected and perhaps the clinically and constantly offended class. For if it's not on their list, it won't be our right. Our traditions have always served us well, and yet they're right now being lampooned, and our society is just being weakened as a result. So the Prime Minister may well have arrived late to this dance about the threat that a country like ours face from people both within and beyond our borders, about our freedom, about our values. But boy, oh boy, is it time for him to get some nice dancing shoes on and get dancing, ScoMo. You've got to start winding back the claptrap that's besetting your government, our way of life, because it's rampant, Prime Minister. Totalitarian, authoritarian regimes, we all know one of the ones that are probably laughing at us right now because we are just so weak. We've gone so woke. And right now, financially, we're pretty broke. But I'm not throwing in the towel because I've got an opportunity 1 hour a week to talk with you about that and hope you'll talk back to me. You can write to me, #Hardgrave at skynews.com.au. You can write Gary.Hardgrave at skynews.com.au or #Hardgrave on Twitter, and we'll read your comments out. There's plenty to talk about.